What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday, we had some screenshots that were just kind of randomly released for a next-generation game for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And of course, our expectations for these games are pretty high, so when people started taking a look at the screenshots, the people were split, we'll say, on what they look like. We're going to go over that today. Also, a very interesting, we'll say, Mario 64 port that is going to a platform that a lot of people probably weren't expecting. It is fan-made, but it is interesting because there are going to be some other games, Nintendo 64 games specifically, that could also be affected in this way. All that and more today, guys. As always, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below as we head towards 500,000 subscribers. And we're going to start today with Yakuza Like a Dragon. It came out in Japan already, and most people are now waiting for a Western announcement for a release date. And it looks like we might not have to be waiting too much longer. Also, if you have been enjoying the Yakuza games on PC, because that's pretty much where you play your games, you're going to be pretty happy to hear that it looks like a Steam listing went up. At least in the Steam database, it was spotted and then it was removed like a few hours later. Most likely it was an automatic update to add it into the database, and it unfortunately went public and it wasn't supposed to, so I guess technically Yakuza Like a Dragon has leaked out that it is going to PC as well, most likely alongside of the other consoles at the same time. And here's the fun part, most likely that means that a release date is coming up soon, as in it'll be announced, and it's not shocking to hear that considering we're coming up on when E3 would have been. We have Summer Game Fest, so most likely somewhere in there, Sega will be announcing a release date for Yakuza Like a Dragon for the West. That, of course, is their RPG or JRPG style Yakuza game that I have to say looked pretty interesting, and that's one I'll be checking out because I like to kind of see the shift in their, I guess, their overall setup for that series, and as something so different from what they've been doing. So interesting stuff there, but most likely, a few more weeks, we should find out a Western release date for Yakuza Like a Dragon, also coming to PC, it seems. Also, in an interesting twist, it appears that EA has put out a free update alongside with Respawn for a game that doesn't have loot boxes or microtransactions or any of that. It's a strange time right now for EA, I'm sure, but that is Jedi Fallen Order, which is a game that I absolutely loved last year, and it was a shame to see it left out of some of the Game Awards because it fell into this weird time period just after the awards when it was strange, but I really liked it. Respawn did a great job, and none of that microtransaction stuff from EA. Strange. So it was even weirder when yesterday, for May the 4th, we got a massive update for the game. They added in New Game Plus, a whole ton of extra features, accessibility options, and even this whole, like, it's almost like this arena combat simulator thing and extra challenges while you play through the game. So now I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, okay, I'm gonna go back and play the game again. Now, when you do New Game Plus, you do kind of lose a bunch of stuff, but you also keep different things as well, which include like the different lightsabers that you've collected, but you do still have to gain your abilities again as you go through, since it does technically coincide with the story that they're trying to tell, but just more stuff to do in the game, and that's really exciting. I don't know if they'll do like any kind of story DLC or they're just gonna save that for what we assume is a follow-up to this game by Respawn, but I'm excited for that. Oh, and we had just talked yesterday about how Phil Spencer was more concerned with the software side than the hardware side because they seemed pretty confident that the consoles would be able to come out during the holiday with a good stock, we'll say. Well, it looks like AMD is starting to ramp up production, and there are even rumors now that the Xbox Series X and maybe Series S are already in full production. Now, during a recent earnings call, you can see here, Lisa Su said, "We expect semi-custom revenue to increase in the second quarter and be heavily weighted towards the second half of the year as we ramp production to support the holiday launches of the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X consoles." And most likely Microsoft and Sony were really, looking towards AMD like, okay, are we going to be able to make this work? And as soon as AMD kind of gave them the green light, it seemed like they were like Phil Spencer obviously has made this pretty clear that the hardware side is pretty much good to go, taken care of. Now they have to focus on getting the games out next to it, specifically something around launch. And if you have a big launch title, you're generally in good shape, as we've seen most recently with the Switch, when that, of course, launched with Breath of the Wild. So we'll see if Microsoft has Halo Infinite ready to go, and then What does Sony launch with? Bluepoint maybe, or maybe something else? And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with this next generation game that has been randomly just put out there. We got screenshots. You can see some of them here. This is from GameStar, and it is for Lord of the Rings Gollum, and it appears to be a stealth adventure game from Daedalic. Now, IGN went into a bit more detail on this one. It appears to be scheduled for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC in 2021, and it is not based on the films, but based on the books. And, you know, the biggest thing about this, a lot of people were looking at these screenshots, and, well, they don't really look next gen, I guess, is what we're thinking here. Now, you look at these, and these are screenshots, so of course, when you see things in motion, your idea of what it looks like can change, right? I mean, if it's very fluid and the animation's great, it can kind of make everything look a lot higher quality than what a screenshot could look in just a still. Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to see with this one. Also, it is Daedalic, and Daedalic doesn't exactly go out there and produce these massively crazy, looking games, these massive environments. Not really. So, like, I look at this, and I'm like, okay, that's Daedalic doing it. It's a Gollum-based stealth adventure game. I have to see more about it, but most likely heading into the Xbox event on Thursday, this could be a game that is there, ready to go, and at least ready to show us, but it's not coming out till next year, and a lot of people were wondering why this was put out there, and I don't know. GameStar just kind of put the screenshots out there. What I would assume is that because people are so hungry for next generation news and information and even screenshots, we want to know what the games look like, right? We want to be blown away. These screenshots get out there ahead of that Xbox event because it's obviously going to drive traffic, interest, and here we are now with these high expectations and screenshots that look like this. But I'm sure Lord of the Rings fans are pretty excited. And again, there are other things with these games outside of just visuals, because like no load times, that could be something we see here. High frame rates even. Maybe they take advantage of some of the features around the systems like the PlayStation 5 and its DualSense controller. So we'll see a bit more about this, but I understand people are super hyped about next gen. And fortunately on Thursday, I think we'll get games that are designed to more or less blow you away with their visual style. We're still gonna have, indie games and others that aren't graphically impressive, but maybe are a bit more on the creative side in terms of gameplay and taking advantage of the extra features that are there. Definitely in SSD, we're gonna have to see these games in motion. These kind of still shots are not gonna do that aspect of the system much justice. So we'll see when we get to the Thursday event for Microsoft, and then eventually an event for the PlayStation 5, and seeing Sony's first parties show us some stuff will be pretty crazy. So looking forward to all of that. But hey, Lord of the Rings fans, I'm sure are pretty excited for Lord of the Rings Gollum. Next up, let's talk about this Mario 64 port. It's a bit different than if you are emulating Mario 64. Like a lot of people, let's be honest, have played Mario 64 on their PC at this point, but it's in an emulator. It can be kind of buggy. Maybe the visuals don't line up quite right when you're trying to play on a certain monitor. The controls are kind of funky when you're trying to use a controller. But what if it was able to be ported natively to the PC? Do you remember how we recently talked about how Mario 64 was being decompiled, which would allow something like that? Well, it appears to have happened. Yeah, and in fact, we actually even had some of the images and gameplay straight up posted to YouTube. I'm curious how Nintendo will feel about this, because this is just straight up Mario 64 being played on PC, like flat out. I mean, at that point, it's not even distributing like an emulator to let you play the ROM. It's distributing the game itself. So I'm not going to show you any footage of that running, but I will say you can search it up on YouTube. A channel by the name of Unreal went ahead and uploaded it, and there are some still shots you can see, but for the most part, what we are dealing with here is a native port to the PC for Mario 64, complete with full 4K resolution, ultra widescreen support, and even DirectX 12. That's actually what it's using when going through and running this game, which is pretty cool. Like, that is some neat stuff, and it looks amazing. In fact, you can use an Xbox One controller and control the camera with the right stick straight up, right? Like, we're not mapping a Nintendo 64 controller technically to an Xbox One controller or something in an emulator. It just has the functionality for it built in. So this is some impressive stuff. And while the Mario 64 looks great, It seems to run really well, by the way, in 4K. It sounds good. Here's the interesting part. When we had talked about Mario 64 being decompiled, there were some other games that were also being decompiled, and I don't think they finished being decompiled yet. Like Mario 64 has already been done, but I'm also talking about Perfect Dark and GoldenEye. So if you get a chance to check out this Mario 64 footage that's on YouTube for this port, step back for a minute and think about the idea of GoldenEye being put on PC and running with DirectX 12 4K and that higher frame rate. That would be insane. That would be crazy. Perfect Dark as well, although we kind of already have Perfect Dark on the Xbox One. GoldenEye is that game that we never had that was this close to releasing on the Xbox 360, and then obviously it would have gone up to the Xbox One and all of that. If we can get GoldenEye on the PC, and if it is a native port, can they also bake in online multiplayer? Whew, this has cease and desist written all over it, and I'm excited. Next up, let's talk about an event we can look forward to, kind of like what we look forward to every year, kind of, and that's with EA. They tweeted this out here. It says, EA Play Live goes digital in 2020. See you on June 11th at 4 p.m. Pacific time. World premieres, news, and more. Yes, EA is still basically doing their E3 presentation just without a live show. It's just going to be digital, and that could just be people just in a studio filming, and then they have the games, or just a bunch of trailers stacked up with like just a narrator kind of over everything, like a state of play, Nintendo Direct, all of that. Now I get to look forward to what I assume is the new Madden, the new NHL, the new FIFA. But what do we get after that? Is it finally the year for Skate 4? Probably not. But there are some other things. Of course, you could talk about Dragon Age. That's something I'm really hoping for, is that Dragon Age is finally shown, because that most likely, as we all assume at this point, since we're getting close to the launch of next gen, a next generation game. And for anyone who's still playing Anthem, well, the Anthem 2.0, I guess, could be shown there as well. We'll see about that. But for the most part, it's kind of anyone's guess. Could we get a new Burnout? Maybe. I mean, it's possible. Could there be something Star Wars related there? Also very possible as well. I mean, whenever I go into these EA events, I don't really look forward to it that much. They have to really surprise me, and every year it's like, maybe it's Skate 4's year, and then it's not, so we'll see. Dragon Age would get me pretty excited, though, and if they did anything with Star Wars, that'd be pretty awesome as well, especially if they did something with, like, KOTOR, brought that back up, or maybe tried doing a remake of an older Star Wars, or hey, Titanfall 3? You know, it's always something that's possible. And in our last bit of news, I've decided to get your hopes up for something that probably won't turn into anything this year, but hey, why not? I'm excited for the idea of it, so I might as well make you excited, and then we can all be disappointed together when we get past this Summer Games Fest and go into the holidays without any announcement for it. So what am I talking about? Talking about Prince of Persia. Yesterday, something odd happened. Ubisoft actually registered a domain, princeofpersia6.com. Well, I believe Prince of Persia 5 was the last Prince of Persia game that we had. Was that the Forgotten Sands or something? I've already forgot, right? Forgotten Sands. But the exciting thing here is I've been wondering more and more about Prince of Persia as we've kind of gone along here, and why Ubisoft hasn't done much with it. And a lot of people are really thinking that Assassin's Creed and Prince of Persia were kind of feeling like a similar game overall, and well, Assassin's Creed's changed quite a bit. It's more of like this big open world RPG with some action RPG kind of thrown in there, and I almost feel like Prince of Persia, with more of its platforming side, kind of arcadey feel, it could make a comeback. And seeing this new domain be registered yesterday ahead of what's going to be a stretch of 3 months or so of announcements is exciting. I don't think it's anything that's going to come out this year if they wanted to announce it, but it is odd to see them do Prince of Persia 6.com if they don't really have much in mind. I mean, I guess they could do a cell phone game, so there's always that. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This one is from Tubby J saying, with the Nintendo leaks, maybe we could see whatever was going to clip into the back of the original Wii Classic controller. You know what? It's very possible, because there is actually a lot of documentation that apparently is in these leaks. There have been some different post-made screenshots of like this is why we chose friend codes. It's because we didn't think people would be able to choose the right screen name or the right username without accidentally choosing the same one as someone else, and someone could guess that person's username and send them a friend request. You know, it's like the horror, right? But the idea of that clip on the back, it seems like there's this, you push down, obviously, and it seems like it releases something. Well, the story here apparently is that there was a clip that would allow it to then attach to the Wii remote. In fact, someone even made one. So that, I guess, is the idea around it, and they just never did it. I don't know. It is weird that they put that into every one of those classic controllers, but they didn't really ever use it that I remember, like, ever. I think some third parties might have taken advantage of it, but like Nintendo never did. So it's strange, right? But yeah, someone made a clip, and I guess you can too with 3D printing it, but you would just be attaching it to like the Wii remote. I don't know how much that would have helped. I guess that way you don't have to then have the Wii remote kind of dangling to the side of it, kind of just off. But a lot of us just put the Wii remote like down next to us on the couch when we were playing anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's that Mario 64 port to the PC, straight up native, right? Like, it's on PC now, using DirectX 12. Looks amazing, by the way, and can we get GoldenEye on there? That would be amazing. That'd be a massive accomplishment, and be really cool if they had like online multiplayer. Do what Nintendo, Microsoft, and whoever else is involved with all of those rights could not do years and years ago. Be awesome. Also, what do you think about EA's presentation at the E3 kind of time? Do you think they have anything big surprises for us, like the next Titanfall, or is it just gonna be, you know, the next Madden, NHL, and all of that? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.